Welcome to this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have with us Luisa Hogan, a leadership resilience strategist, founder, keynote speaker who works with founders and leadership teams to help them stay steady under pressure so they can think clearly, make better decisions, and lead through uncertainty. So we learn from her about what actually happens to one's thinking under pressure, how to catch yourself before you lose clarity, and the first thing to do when you feel overwhelmed. Welcome to the show, Luisa.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here.
You are welcome. Welcome to the show. Welcome to India in this online form, Luisa. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of leaders, a lot of companies, a lot of people across the globe will benefit from what we are going to talk right now. We'll talk about leadership under pressure. We'll talk about this and much more. But before that, let's talk a bit about your journey, your background, your story, so that the audience knows who they are listening to.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here. My journey started when I got my first leadership position completely by accident. I had moved to Australia from South Africa. I'd done a double degree in community development and education, and I moved to Australia when I finished my degree, and I was intending on getting a teaching job, like education job, and I was waiting for my registration to come through. I had registered as a teacher, and I got myself a role doing a school holiday job here, working with kids during school holidays. And I absolutely loved the job, and within 2 weeks I was promoted to the supervisor role in that organization. And it was completely by accident. I was suddenly went from somebody employed there to leading a team of 10 other people. And I loved it so much that I never left and I never went back to teaching. And it was there that I discovered my love and passion of leadership. And through there, I moved into various roles, eventually into executive roles. I went into multiple C-suite roles, chief operating officer, chief development officer, CEO roles. And it was in my second CEO role that I inherited an organization that was failing. There was a lot of pressure on the organization to save that organization financially. There was lots of changes to policy here, government policy, that meant that that organization had to make some change too. And in the end, the board of that organization decided to close that organization, and I had to lead that organization through closure. And that was an extremely high pressure environment, because initially the high pressure was trying to save it, and then the high pressure was leading that organization through closure, working with that team who had all lost their jobs, but leading them through that so that we could wind up all of the contracts without letting any of our clients down. And it was there that I really learned a lot about myself and my own leadership and what I do under pressure. And from that time, that was 10 years ago, I started my own consulting practice, Vermello, and I do leading teams, teaching teams resilience through transformation and change. And through that work over the last 10 years, my focus has really been on leadership resilience strategy, but more so on building steadiness, because when a leader is steady under pressure, the result is resilience. So steadiness is the baseline, and resilience is what the outcome is. And I focus one-on-one with executive CEOs on building steadiness, while I have a team of consultants who go and work in organizations on change management and resilience with teams. And we work with them that way. So it's been quite an incredible leadership journey that I started by accident that ended me here.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you are a leadership resilience strategist. At the same time, you call that resilience is in strength, and most leaders quit out trying to be strong. Help us understand from a common business person's perspective, startup perspective, small business perspective, anyone who is trying to be resilient, is resilient a good thing, or not a good thing?
Resilience is absolutely a good thing, but it's what we understand resilience to be. So you tell me, have you ever heard somebody say, I'm pretty tough, I'm pretty resilient, I never cry, you never see me look stressed? Have you ever heard somebody say something like that? And I think that's the perception of resilience that people have, is that it is pretending to be strong, pretending that nothing bothers you, pretending that you're not fazed by anything, but inside you are not feeling that way at all, but you are just showing the world that you are handling the pressure. And resilience is not that at all. And the other thing is, people will say resilience means bouncing back. You go through something challenging and then you bounce back. So people often say that. And what I don't like about that phrase is it sounds like resilience is something that happens after the fact. So you go through something and then you are resilient. But that's not what resilience is either. Resilience is how you behave and perform while you are under pressure, while you're going through a difficult situation. And it's not by pretending that you are tough or strong or not crying or not showing vulnerability. It is actually how you regulate yourself. And what I mean by regulate yourself is by how you take that high pressure and those thoughts that are making you worry and stressed and anxious on the inside and calm that down internally so that you are able to think about what the next step is in a clear and calm way. So not pretending to be calm, actually being calm. And when you do that, you build resilience. So you can go through the tough things and you are building your resilience over time. So resilience is not a bad thing. Pretending to be strong is a bad thing. And unfortunately, people think that strength means resilience. But I also say strength burns out, steadiness lasts. So again, how I can illustrate that very easily for you, if you were to hold 2 bricks up in the air, how long can you hold those bricks up in the air for without feeling weak? Over time, you're going to feel weaker and weaker, and your arms get tired, and eventually you're not going to be able to hold those bricks up. That's what people think resilience is. They think it's about holding the bricks up for as long as possible and being strong, but strength burns out. You get tired. You can't continue to be strong all the time without getting tired and dropping the bricks. And that's what I teach in Steadiness. Steadiness is not about holding the bricks up. It's about how do we put the bricks down and work through the problems so that we don't have to hold the bricks up all the time.
Absolutely. So how does a leader, anyone who is, leading a team, know that it is time to bring out resilience, or is it time to bring out steadiness from the arsenal? How does that work on the ground?
So definitely steadiness first, because if you are able to maintain steadiness and maintain calm and clarity through pressure, your resilience will come as a result. Resilience comes automatically as a result of that. You build resilience by building in steadiness to your day. So if you are ever feeling under pressure, the automatic thing that happens internally when you're under pressure is an automatic response that we have had inside of us for thousands and thousands of years. When we were cavemen, or when we were living in the jungle, we would see a predator, and that would put us in a state of fight, flight, or freeze. And that would allow us to either fight off the predator, the saber-toothed tiger, the lion, whatever it is, or run away and keep ourselves safe. And that internal response, we've never lost it. But we don't have necessarily predators coming after us. As a leader, what we have is something's gone wrong in the office today. Something's gone wrong at work. We've got a horrible email. We've had a phone call saying that a machine is broken down and that we need to fix it. That today is the new predator. And the internal response that we have inside our brain is the same response that we had thousands of years ago when a predator came to us. But now there is no predator. So internally, the mechanism that makes us fight, flight, freeze, run away, keep us safe, we don't learn how to switch it off, because in the old days, you'd run away from the tiger, the predator, you would be safe, and then you would calm down. But now that never happens. You've got new pressures, new emails, new accidents happen, new things to deal with at work. You are constantly in that state. And unless you learn how to bring yourself to steadiness, to tell your body that you are safe, that everything is okay, that the email is not going to kill you, that your team member getting upset at you is not the end of the world, that you're not dying, that you are okay, and you bring yourself down, you are constantly going to be in the state that your brain should do to keep you safe, but it doesn't need to keep you safe all the time. What you need to do is learn how to tell your brain, it's okay, I am safe, now I need to make a good decision.
Absolutely, absolutely, Luisa. You connect, pressure, leaders under pressure with clarity. How does that work on the ground? When do you start losing ground? Some people say, I am the best under pressure, and that is what my USP is. Help us understand from that point of view.
Pressure is not a good and not a bad thing. So, pressure can create very good results, because what pressure does, pressure can dysregulate you. And that same mechanism that I was talking about, where you have to run away from the predator, what it does is it narrows your focus. And it narrows your focus to the one thing that's directly in front of you, and you resolve that one thing very quickly, right? And that's a good thing, because that's how the brain works. That's how the neurology works. You're under pressure, you're dysregulated, your focus narrows, you resolve that one thing, and you can do it very quickly because it's like fight, flight, or freeze. And you quickly resolve it, and then it feels very good because you've resolved that one thing. But the problem becomes, it's not being under pressure just once. It's when we are in a constant state of pressure all the time, and we are in that constant mode of a very narrowed focus, that we are unable to have clarity to the big picture, the big strategy around us. And when we are constantly narrowed only to those little problems, we can't make decisions that are actually going to be long-term, that are impacting a greater section of work that you're doing rather than the little thing that you're doing. Having that adrenaline rush does feel very good. People do feel like I work my best on the way, because you get under that adrenaline rush. But that being in that state constantly all the time is not good for you. You burn out, you don't make good decisions, you don't see the big picture, you don't get clarity around all the things that are impacting your decisions. And eventually you are going to make a bad decision if you're only making decisions in that state of mind.
Absolutely, Luisa. So how do I, as a leader, know that I'm losing clarity, things are not under my control? Everyone keeps on thinking everything is fine, everything is running smoothly.
I think if you're not operating under clarity, things aren't going to run smoothly for a very long time. Because what happens if you find yourself always putting out fires, that term, putting out fires, where, something happens and then you have another emergency, and then you have to put something, you have to fix that problem. Then another problem comes up and you have to fix that problem. And you're constantly putting out fires, then you're probably not operating from a state of clarity. You're operating from a state of emergency all the time, even though it may feel like you're always coming with solutions. You're putting in the solutions, you're resolving that issue, you're resolving another issue. And the other thing that might show you that you're not operating from a state of clarity is how you talk about the problem inside your head. So I talk about the first voice and the second voice. The first voice is that state of emergency voice. I'm going to fail. This is all, going badly. It's the voice that's there to protect you. It stops you from being humiliated. It stops you from hurting yourself. It's an important voice. It's that emergency voice. This is wrong. But it's a very loud voice. And if we only listen to that voice, we end up in a loop of everything is bad all the time. And we've got another internal voice that we can only hear when we are steady and when we're calm. And that second voice is much quieter. It's like a Wi-Fi signal as opposed to a megaphone. The first voice is on a megaphone. The second voice is a Wi-Fi signal. And you can only hear the Wi-Fi signal if it's very quiet. And If your internal operating system is always on this is bad, I'm going to look bad, I'm going to fail, nobody's ever going to buy this product, nobody likes me, you know, that kind of negative voice, and then you're always acting from that negative voice, that is also a very good sign that you're not operating from a state of clarity, because clarity comes from the second voice, which only comes when your brain is regulated, when you are feeling steady.
Absolutely, Luisa. In terms of, if there is a crisis, a live one, how do I regulate myself as a leader? If you can think of anything, in terms of a step-by-step, that would be very helpful for the audience.
So I've got a very clear steps that I teach all of my clients. I work with my clients all the time, and I go into this a lot more detail, but it's quite an easy 4-step process. And the first step is you have to have some awareness. You have to know the difference inside you of somebody who's actually calm and steady versus somebody who's pretending to be strong. So if you can recognize the difference in yourself when I'm pretending to be strong and just putting on a brave face because I'm the leader and everyone needs to see that I'm tough, and the difference between somebody who's actually feeling calm and regulated, that's the first step. So you've got to learn the difference between those, and you have to observe yourself. The next thing is, when a crisis happens, any crisis, the first thing you have to do is pause. Because it is very easy for us when a crisis happens to jump straight away into fixing mode. We need to fix it. We need to make a decision now. We need to fix the problem. But I say always pause and wait, because our body, it takes us 60 to 90 seconds for the initial emotion to pass. That's it. The emotion passes after 60 to 90 seconds. What keeps it going is when we keep thinking about the emotion all the time and start telling us that the emotion's bad. So pause, 60 to 90 seconds, but even as little as 30 seconds, just take a break, pause in between things, is enough to start regulating you and telling your body that everything is okay, because you're not running. You're not telling your body this is something I need to run from. The next thing is it's something that I call anchoring. And anchoring is when you're able to bring yourself with clarity into the present situation, because we run very quickly into the future. What's going to happen next? Worrying about things or worrying about things that have already happened. So how we anchor, we exhale. Because when we are in a dysregulated state, non-steady state, when we're not pausing, so we're feeling anxious, we start have very shallow breath. So when we exhale, let all of the breath out, it starts to tell our brain that we're safe because we're not breathing shallow. So we're safe. And then name the emotion that you have. I'm anxious, I'm frightened, I'm frustrated, I'm angry. Name it, because the other thing that does, there's lots of great research about this, is when you name the emotion, it also tells your brain that you are safe, because your brain's going, Luisa knows what this is. This is not a predator in the bushes. Luisa knows what this is. We're safe. Okay, so now we're breathing properly. We're exhaling out. We're breathing slower. We've named the emotion. And now we've paused. We're letting everything steady out. The last thing we do is, what is the one thing I need to do next? Because a big mistake that we do when we are dysregulated is we try and have 10 things that we need to do next. These are the 10 problems I have. I need to fix these 10 things. Nope. Do one thing. What's the first thing that I need to do next? Only think about that one thing, then do it. And that's the last thing that tells your brain that you are safe, because now you've taken action, you resolved one small thing, and now you're regulated because you don't have an emergency. You've taken action, your brain, you've calmed down, you're breathing properly, and you've named the thing, you know what it is, and your brain goes, okay, we're safe now. And that brings clarity and big picture thinking back.
Absolutely, absolutely, Luisa. Big picture thinking back. There is so much to learn about all this from you, and I'm sure a lot of people, a lot of leaders across the globe will want to connect with you, learn more about this, be your client. What's the best way for them to do so?
The two best ways where you will find me the most, either on LinkedIn, you can find me at Luisa Hogan, under Luisa Hogan on LinkedIn, or you can find me on Instagram. I've got a new Instagram account there that's only a month or so old, Luisa Hogan HQ. So as it's spelt on the screen, Luisa Hogan HQ. On Instagram, those two places I'm the most active. You can message me on there, connect with me on there. I'm more than happy to chat.
Wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you so much.